everybody, it's me, Nate, aka Devil Dog, and we're back with the top 10 best and worst list games of 2025. Don't worry, you knew I was going to make this. That's right, the top 10 best and worst. Now, before I get started with these two top 10 lists, please remember, these are based off of games that I have played only. So if there's some games that I didn't play, I didn't review, I didn't know, that's why they're not on the list, and that's why some of them on the list are here that you would be like, why would that be there? Because I played it. But that's what it is. We're going to do this in two parts. First, we're going to start with the top 10 worst games of 2025. Here they are. Number 10. Borderlands 4. Borderlands 4 feels less like a step forward and more like a rush stumble. Despite having solid core shooting mechanics, the game launched as a technical mess, particularly on PC, where players reported severe performance drops, crashes, and poor optimization that made the experience very frustrating. To move to a seamless open world sounds good on paper, but it resulted in an empty, generic, and repetitive environment that lacks the charm of previous tighter zones. It feels more like an Ubisoft-style checklist than a true Borderlands adventure. Story-wise, it feels neutered. The raunchy humor is way dialed back and the new characters are largely forgettable, making the campaign a slog. Additionally, the endgame at launch feels very underwhelming, forcing a repetitive grind that ignores what made the past titles great. What's missing? Quality of life features like auto sell along with the same map design. Borderlands 4 just seems to struggle to justify its premium price tag, and for now I would definitely have to say it's not one of the best games of the year. Number 9. Mafia: The Old Country. Mafia: The Old Country tries to return to the roots of the series, but it feels more like a relic of 2010 than a modern masterpiece. While it looks gorgeous, the gameplay is a total snooze fest. Basically, you ride, you walk, you talk, you repeat. You're stuck in an incredibly linear experience where if you wander off a path slightly, the game constantly tells you to return to the mission area, making this open world setting feel totally dead and useless. The combat is generic cover-based shooting, frequently interrupted by frustrating instant fail stealth segments. The main gimmick, knife fighting, becomes incredibly repetitive, and the story itself is predictable, very cliche mob tale that frankly, while seen a million times before, it's short. A 14-hour story that offers zero freedom or fun in between. For a game that forces you into tedious walking simulator segments, it's a massive step back from the immersion of Mafia 2 and a boring, shallow experience that isn't worth the price of entry. Number 8. Labyrinth of the Demon King. Labyrinth of the Demon King tries to mimic PS1 era horror, but it accidentally mimics its 1990s frustration. While it nails a creepy retro vibe, that's where the fun stops. First, the combat is painfully slow and repetitive. It's a parry or die system, which an apologizingly slow stamina recovery, making fights feel almost like a chore rather than a challenge. The basic enemies are annoying, but the bosses are even worse, featuring some of the simplest cheesable AI in modern gaming. Then there's the exploration. The game suffers from severe backtracking-itis, forcing you to navigate tedious, identical-looking hallways over and over. Even worse, the game has no death penalty, which actually destroys the horror, letting you just die and respawn until you grind through, rendering items useless. Finally, it's far too long, stretching a short premise into this tedious, exhausting slog that runs out of ideas before the end. If you love wasting time walking in circles, this is for you. For everything else, avoid this cursed relic. Number 7. The House of the Dead 2 Remake. If you love the 1998 arcade classic, keep your nostalgia safe and avoid this 2025 remake. Developed by Megapixel Studio, this isn't a loving restoration. It feels like a rushed, soulless shitmake that manages to be worse than the previous remake of the first game. The biggest killer is the realism approach. Instead of this vibrant, campy arcade look, everything is dark, muted, and muddy. The first level takes place in low light, making zombies blend into the background, while key visual effects like the gnarly melting animations are replaced with boring evaporations. Controls are atrocious by default, even with gyroscopic. The aiming is sluggish, forcing you to fight the settings menu just to get it feeling barely playable. Even worse, they replaced the iconic, hilariously bad voice acting with a new dub that is just flat bad, losing all of the unintended charm of the original. It's a 30-minute experience that feels lazy, buggy, and overpriced, often running poorly even on Switch. It's a don't come situation. Stick to the original. Number 6. Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Black Ops 7 is being called one of the worst entries in the franchise, primarily because of the campaign is a total failure. It's being described as a mindless run-and-gun slog that relies on boring open-world missions that feel like broken artificial intelligence-driven trash. Critics and players are tearing down the narrative, calling it disjointed and full of plot holes. To make matters worse, the game is suffering from severe performance issues still on PC, with constant crashes and bugs that make it feel like an unfinished Rust product. The gameplay feels uninspired, with bullet sponge enemies that destroy the tactical feel of the series. The endgame co-op mode is just a chaotic mess that feels out of place, and Activision had to unlock it early because nobody wanted to play the campaign. It feels less like a new game and more like a massive overpriced DLC. With 60% lower sales than Black Ops 6 in some areas, players are skipping this one because it feels sterile and soulless. It's a sad drop-off for a legendary series. Number 5. Double Dragon Revive. If you were hoping for a triumphant return to the legendary beat-em-up franchise, Double Dragon Revive is a major disappointment. While the core combat mechanics are occasionally satisfying, the game is dragged down by a complete lack of polish, earning it a reputation as a bland or rotten experience. This 2.5D perspective makes movement feel incredibly janky and rigid, particularly during awkward forced platforming segments that do not fit a brawler. The enemy AI is a mess, awkwardly requiring you to spam overpowered throwable weapons just to survive, turning what should be an intense combat into a tantalizing grind. Visually, the game looks like a dated, low-budget PS2 title with uninspired art and stiff animations that fail to capture the energy of the original series. Furthermore, the game is short, lacks replayability, and boasts annoying, cheap, and unfair boss gimmicks. With superior options like Street of Rage 4 on the market, this revival feels less like a comeback and more like a rushed and an uninspired cash grab. Do not waste your time. This dragon should have stayed asleep. Number 4. Skate 2025. After 15 years, Skate is finally back, but it feels less like a passion project and more like a corporate robbery. Despite fun core mechanics, Skate 2025 is a soulless, Fortnite-ified disaster that takes everything cool about its original trilogy and butchers it. First, the vibe. Instead of a gritty, realistic skater culture, we get a cartoonish art style that's cringy, overwritten, and annoyingly voiceovers from AI assistant named B. The game tries way too hard to be hip, making it feel like a mobile game designed for dollars rather than a true success for Skate 3. Then there's the content, or lack thereof. It's a free-to-play live service, always online mess. Staples like Hall of Meat are gone, and staples like the skate game mode, pro skaters, and proper skate spots are missing. To be drip-fed later at different seasons, it's a 7GB beta with a $50 bounty pack for stuff that should be free. The world of San Amsterdam feels lifeless. It lacks the iconic spots of old, replaced by flat, boring, and corporate designed areas. The game treats its audience like babies, removing the brutal, hilarious ragdoll crashes in favor of sanitized, safe experiences. Skate 2025 is a massive disappointment. It's a soulless cash grab that kills the franchise's identity. Do not buy it. Number 3. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. After over a decade of development hell, Bloodlines 2 is finally here, and it's a heartbreaking disaster. It completely fails to live up to the cult classic status of its predecessor, abandoning deep RPG mechanics for a shallow action-adventure hybrid that feels stuck in the past. The biggest failure, it's not an RPG. The deep character customization, branching dialogue paths, and stats from the first game are gone, replaced by a linear, railroaded quests. You're playing as a predetermined elder vampire, which destroys any sense of personal progression or role-playing. Combat is clunky and repetitive, and the world of Seattle feels empty and lifeless. The Masquerade system, once a tense balancing act of maintaining humanity, is now barely functional, as your actions have zero meaningful consequences on the story. While the narrative has its moments and the atmosphere is decent, the game is a technical mess that ironically lacks heart. It's a crying shame of a sequel and a cash grab that fails to respect its own legacy. Do not buy this at full price. It's a 3 out of 10 experience in a 10 out of 10 setting. Number 2. Terrifier, the arcade game. If you love Terrifier, do yourself a favor. Skip Terrifier, the arcade game, and just rewatch the movies. This game is a frustrating, low-budget cash grab that disrespects the source material. It tries to mimic classic beat-em-ups like Scott Pilgrim, but fails entirely, feeling more like a broken, soulless, and incredibly boring Flash game from 2009. The combat is completely lifeless, just stiff, slow button mashing with no depth or combos. You spend half your time fighting this clunky, unresponsive controls. Even worse, you have to perform annoying, repetitive button mashing QTEs every single time you get knocked down to get back up. It's also a buggy mess that crashes and features truly atrocious voice acting that sounds like AI-generated junk. Blood and gore often block your view, making it nearly impossible to see what's happening. As for a game about a creative killer, the executions are boring and repetitive. Even for $20, it's a ripoff. It's a tedious, buggy experience that shouldn't feel like fun Slaughterfest. It just feels like a chore. Hard pass. Number 1. Mind's Eye. Really, you knew it. You knew it. If you had high hopes for Mind's Eye in 2025, I have bad news. Developed by former Rockstar talent, this was supposed to be a blockbuster, but it easily was the most disappointing and worst reviewed game of the year. It's a broken, boring disaster that fails on every level. First, it's a technical wreck. Players are reporting massive FPS drops, hideous visual glitches, and frequent crashes, even on high-end PCs. It's so buggy that even PlayStation was forced to issue refunds, echoing the disastrous Cyberpunk launch. But the game itself? It's completely hollow. It boasts an open world setting that is totally empty and lifeless. The core gameplay is just monotonous, repetitive shooting, and the story is a generic, cringe-inducing mess that makes zero sense. The final insult is the post-game, or lack thereof. After wasting 15 hours on a terrible story, you are stuck in a dead city with no ability to change cars or explore, driving around, or random NPCs. Mind's Eye is a $60 disaster of wasted potential. It's not just unpolished, it's generally unplayable in its current state. Do yourself a favor and skip this, and there's a reason why I picked this as the worst game of 2025. It's just that bad. What's your list of top 10 worst games? Leave it in the comments below. But let's get on to the nitty-gritty, the big shebang, the top 10 best games of 2025. And roll that beautiful beat footage. Number 10. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Death Stranding 2 on the beach is finally here, and it's a technical marvel. The Decima engine makes this one of the best looking games on PS5 with stunning photorealistic open world landscapes. It's still a Strand type game, delivering cargo is core in the game, but it feels more dynamic this time. You're exploring new, more dangerous worlds, traversal is smoother, and combat has been overhauled, giving you a much more freedom to take down enemies or go stealthy. The story is absolutely top tier, Hideo Kojima insanity. It's weirder, deeper, and more action-packed than the first, with intense boss fights and incredible motion capture performances. Now, If you love the first one, you'll absolutely adore this. It takes the best parts of the original and adds swagger, says one of these reviewers, calling Kojima's most complete game in decades. It's a 7 out of 10 and 9 out of 10 experience, depending on your taste, but it's definitely an unforgettable journey. Number 9. The Outer Worlds 2. Obsidian is back, and The Outer Worlds 2 is a polished, competent step up from the original. It's a 30-hour medium-scale sci-fi RPG that knows exactly what it is. Funny, satirical, and full of hearts. If you love the first one, you'll feel right at home with this charmingly, slightly flawed space adventure. The gameplay loop is solid, focusing heavily on better character-building mechanics and high-stakes skill-check conversations, while the combat remains somewhat standard run-and-gun. The world feels more alive, offering stunning, expansive, and atmospheric environments that make exploration truly rewarding. The writing remains sharp, continuing the satirical tone of the original, even if it feels a bit more emotionally intense than somewhat like Mass Effect. A major caveat is there are absolutely no romance options for companions, which might disappoint some. Performance-wise, it runs smooth, though some expected minor graphical hitches fall in performance mode. Ultimately, The Outer Worlds 2 is a fantastic, tight-packed RPG that prioritizes story and player choice over grinding. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but it perfects the formula from the first game. It's a definite recommendation for sci-fi fans and a strong contender for I Can't Believe I'm Done Already experience for 2025. Number 8. Arc Raiders. Embark Studios has dropped a serious contender in the extraction shooter genre with Arc Raiders. It's a third-person PvPvE shooter that sets you in a beautiful, desolate world overrun by terrifying intelligent machines known as the Ark. The core gameplay loop is addictive. You drop into the wasteland to loot, scavenge, and fight both robots and other players. The combat feels punchy, and the sound design is top-notch, making every encounter tense. What sets Ark apart is its accessibility. While high stakes, it feels more approachable than games like Tarkov. However, playing solo can be a miserable experience as it thrives on team cooperation. Graphically, it's stunning, easily one of the best looking shooters currently available. It runs well, though some players have reported rare bugs since it's phasing through the environment. But if you enjoy extraction shooters with high stakes, PvE heavy, and gorgeous environments, Arc Raiders is absolutely worth it. It's a refreshing take on the genre. Number 7. Dispatch. If you missed the golden era of Telltale games, heavy on story, emotional and packed with choices that actually matter, you need to play Dispatch. Developed by Ad Hoc Studios, a team formed by former Telltale veterans, this episodic narrative adventure is a massive hit. You play as a former superhero forced into a desk job as an operator for a dysfunctional team of misfit heroes. It's part office comedy, part chaotic management simulation. The writing is razor sharp, dark, and genuinely funny, often compared to the show of The Boys and high-end animated series. The gameplay is very sparse but effective, requiring you to make tense, high-stakes decisions that affect the narrative and character relationships. The voice acting is top tier, and the hand-drawn art style is simply beautiful. While some may want more active combat, the cinematic storytelling keeps you hooked. It's a 2025 standout, proving that sometimes the best way to handle a supervillain is from behind a computer screen. If you love story-driven games with deep characters and tough choices, Dispatch, the best narrative experiences this year. Number 6. Silent Hill F. Silent Hill F is a gorgeous, terrifying evolution of the franchise, successfully blending psychological dread with a fresh 1960s Japanese setting. Developed by Neobards, this title moves away from the traditional American town, putting you in control of Hinako in a village consumed by blood-red vines and a haunting fog. This game excels at atmosphere that deeply explores themes of societal pressure, trauma, and identity. Akira Yamamoto's soundtrack ensures constant creeping dread. However, it's not perfect. While the combat is visceral and intimate, relying on breaking weapons, and it can feel a bit repetitive or chore-like in the later hours. Some players may even find the puzzles a bit vague. But despite these flaws, Silent Hill F is a bold, artistic, and deeply unsettling experience, which feels like a necessary step forward in the series. If you love personal psychological horror, this is a must-play. Number 5. Split Fiction. If you loved It Takes Two, stop what you're doing and play Split Fiction. Developed by Hazelight, this 2025 release is a 14-hour gender-bending co-op masterpiece that feels like a spiritual successor to their previous hits. You and a partner play as Mio and Zoe, two writers trapped inside a simulation of their own sci-fi and fantasy movies. The gameplay is pure chaotic joy. It can constantly switches between genres, making you feel like you are traversing a theme park of creative ideas. One minute you're in a neon cyberpunk city as a ninja, the next you're on a fantasy quest. The core, however, is rock solid, cooperative puzzles and action that requires genuine, often hilarious communication. It's a visual marvel, running smoothly on a PS5, and most importantly, it includes a Friends Pass, which means only one person has to buy it, which is an incredible value. While the story can feel a bit predictable, the sheer variety in the level design makes this an easy contender for Game of the Year. Number 4.
Walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way. Come on and give me a kiss!
Kingdom Come to Deliverance is an unapologetically hardcore 100-hour-plus medieval simulation that successfully takes everything great about the original and turns it up to 11. Playing as Henry, you are dropped into a gorgeous, gritty, and deeply immersive Bohemia that feels alive, demanding and often unforgiving. It's a true RPG, not just an action game, meaning your choices, conversations, and skill building through repetition actually matter. The world is massive, featuring 2 large, detailed regions with improved quest design that is often hilarious and engaging, while the combat can still feel clunky or difficult for some, often favoring stealth and strategy over the hack and slash. The sheer depth of systems, from cooking to alchemy, offers unmatched satisfaction. It can be a bit janky at launch, but if you want an authentic, slow-burn medieval saga that refuses to hold your hand, this is a masterpiece of the genre. Number 3. Ghosts of Yotai. Ghosts of Yotai is a stunning return to form, stepping 300 years into the future from Tsushima to 1600s Japan. Instead of Jin, we play as Atsu, a fiery, vengeful mercenary hunting the Yotai Six in the snow-draped, gorgeous landscapes of Ezo. It's a darker, more personal story that trades the samurai code for a spirit of vengeance persona. The combat is even more sharper and faster than the first game. The old stance system is replaced with a weapons-first philosophy. You now seamlessly switch between dual katanas, a spear, and an adachi, and even guns. It feels more strategic and incredibly satisfying. Exploration is just as immersive, with guiding winds pulling you through snowy mountains and vivid flower fields. Visually, it's a masterclass in atmosphere, utilizing the PS5 to create a truly living world. It's not a revolution, but a refined, high-octane sequel that improves on almost everything from the original. If you love Tsushima, Ghosts of Yotai is an essential, breathtaking experience that cements itself as one of the best action-adventure games this generation. Definitely a must-play. Number 2. Hollow Knight Silksong. Get ready to descend back into the world of breathtaking hand-drawn gloom. Hollow Knight Silksong is the highly anticipated sequel to Team Cherry's masterpiece, shifting the spotlight from the Knight to Hornet, the deadly princess protector of Hollow Nest. If Hollow Knight was about precision, then Silksong is about speed. Hornet is way faster, more acrobatic, and more aggressive. Exploit fluid, fast-paced combat as you explore a vast new kingdom of silk and song, using wire-thin needle strikes and devastating acrobatics to overcome entirely new types of foes. The game features over 150 unique enemy types, ensuring that every area feels fresh and dangerous, a key addition to the Silk Soul system, allowing Hornet to bind wounds using silk, creating a fast-paced healing mechanic that complements her aggressive playstyle. The world, Farloom, is larger and more vertical, promising very intricate exploration. The art style is even more detailed and vibrant than the original, maintaining the signature hauntingly beautiful aesthetic. Combined with a brand new emotional score by Christopher Larkin, Silksong promises to be an audio-visual masterpiece. Hollow Knight Silksong is shaping up to be one of the best games this year. It refines and expands on every aspect of the original, and whether you are a veteran of Hollow Nest or a newcomer, this is an essential journey. Number 1. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is an absolute triumph and a must-play turn-based RPG from Sandfall Interactive. It feels like a breath of fresh air in 2025, blending a gorgeous, haunting, Bell-esque world with deep, satisfying mechanics. The story is immediately gripping. With every year, a paintress wakes up and paints a number. Everyone of that age turns to smoke. You play the final expedition, seeking to end her high reign. It's emotional, high stakes, and frankly, a masterclass in narrative tension. The combat is the star. It's a turn-based system, but heavily reliant on activated timing for dodging, parrying, and critical hits, making it feel very visceral. It looks incredible thanks to the Unreal Engine 5 featuring some of the best art design of the year, even if performance on PC can turn to need some fine-tuning. Now, clocking in at over 30 to 60 hours, it's a perfectly paced, high-quality experience that doesn't overstay its welcome. It's easily one of the best RPGs in recent memory, a true artistic masterpiece. If you love creative, challenging, and stunning JRPGs, do not miss this. It gets my highest recommendation. There you go. That's my top 10 worst and top 10 best games of 2025. Please leave in the comments below your list of the best and worst that you played. Do you agree with me on any of these? Do you disagree with me on them? That's perfectly fine. Please like, subscribe to my channel, leave lots of comments below, and of course here at Double Dog Gaming, we always end our videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember people, the devil is in the details. Peace out until next time.